We've got
Terror
at 5280. We've got Gary Robbe. We've got Angela Sylvaine at Terror at 5280.
Lovely cover.
And we're going to be talking about it on today's show.
Sounds good.
It's all Marchese and Buller. It's all Marchese and Buller.
Welcome to Horror with Marchese and Buller, and today we have Gary Robbe and Angela Sylvaine on, and we're going to talk about
Terror
at 5280. The first question I have, Gary,
Yes.
if you want to just name the editors and the authors.
So the editorial team is Josh Schlossberg, Mindy Bezdek, Bobby Crew, Desi D, Lisa Mavridis, Thomas C. Mavridis, and James Wilkes, and myself. Was the editorial team. The foreword is by John Palisano, who's the president of the HWA. The depths by Matthew Lyons. Laughing Sal by Lindsay King Miller. This Was Always Going to Happen by Stephen Graham Jones. His very first published story, we're proud to say. Electric Stalker by Rebecca S.W. Bates. Gaze with Undimmed Eyes and the World Drops Dead by Karina Bissett. Grave Mistake by Joshua Viola and Carter Wilson. There Is Something Up There by Joy Yaley. Grape by myself. The Copper Door Karma Jar by Cindra Spencer. Block 12 by Thomas C. Mavridis. A Place for Katie, Melinda Bezdek. Taste, Henry Snyder. Chronic Cold by Josh Schlossberg. The Dead Spot by Angela Sylvaine. The Ghost of Cheeseman Park by Grace Horton. Old Golden Road by Jay Seat. If I Shall Wake by Desi D. The Blue Lady by Sean Murphy. Mountain Lovers by Bobby Crew. Left Behind by P.L. McMillan. Deep Veins by Travis Herman. That Time Maggie Ghosted Me by Jameis Wilkes. And The Last Words, Cannibal Kings and Queens by Larry Berry.
Now, we were saying in the live episode, which listeners and viewers will be have already sort of digested, and this will be like 2 or 3 days later. We kind of heard how you kind of got together as a collective. You're based in Denver, Colorado. You meet on social media, but you also go out there and meet physically, spend physical time together and stuff. So it was kind of a natural evolution, I suppose, to bring this book out. Was it something that you talked about for a while? How long was it before you kind of reached a conclusion that this was something you were going to go ahead and do?
It actually came about after a couple of years meeting with the critique group, and then we moved. It just got bigger and bigger, involving not only writers but also artists. It grew to the point where, and it was people were so involved with it that we thought, yeah, why not? What about the idea of putting together an anthology? Kind of approaching it from a learning standpoint, like let's see how this works. We started actually talking about it only about 8 months ago, so it came about relatively fast.
You both kind of said you wrote these stories specifically with this anthology in mind. Did either of you guys have a bit of a panic where you went, oh my god, you like midway through a story or something, you think, this isn't good enough, oh my gosh? Did you ever have any moments like that? Because I've written for things in the past where you're writing for a specific anthology, you're writing, with something in mind, and you want it to be really good, and you sort of have this blind panic about halfway through, and you think, is this the right story? Did either of you guys have something similar to that?
I mean, with my own work, I always think that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Halfway
Same.
through, yeah.
Yeah,
Same.
it's usually a process, right? There's a couple
Yeah.
versions, and most of them suck, but then hopefully the end one is good.
And reading these stories, I mean, again, the editorial team totally blown away. We just did not expect the quality of stories that came in. It seemed like everybody was putting out their very best effort to produce for this.
Gary, so basically before the whole show, before we did the live and everything, I went and I kind of did a speed read of a few stories. Gary and Angela, yours were included. Gary, what I liked about your story is that it felt like a novel. Like you took all the little pieces, as you can say, the crux of each scene that has all the added stuff, and you just got the main parts, and you just kept skipping here and skipping there, and timelines were changing. But it also there was a reason for it. Obviously, I don't want to give that away. Like, how did you come up with that story? How did you think of that concept to do something like that?
It's hard to say because I actually started writing a different story. I had been going through a process of building a new home in the Denver area. We didn't scrape it at a home, but we were building, and somehow or other I had the image of the last scene in the short story, which I don't want to give away, but that came to me first, and then everything else fell in place. And I was heavily influenced by the book House of Leaves, which
great book.
I won't even pretend that I read the whole thing, but I won't pretend that I understand. But
it's an experience. It really is.
That had some influence, and I like being kind of experimental, so I was playing around.
Angela, your story has a lot of horror elements in it, and one that just mostly stands out is the carnival sort of feel and that element of going to one of those places and the hidden secrets and scary things that are lurking. Did you know a girl like me in real life, and where did you come up with the idea for your story?
Not necessarily, but I guess in my mind I almost thought of her sort of like a siren, this temptation that kind of knows your innermost wants and desires and is sort of playing on those. She's obviously the villain, Mia, and she's hitting right on exactly what Claire is missing in her life and what she wants. So that temptation is hard to resist. I do like writing younger characters. I tend toward writing young adult horror because I think that's such a time of kind of self-discovery, and you make so many mistakes, and it's just really fertile ground for horror, I think, because it seems like every decision is so important, and I think you can really screw up royally and have a huge effect on your life. So it's really fun to write those kind of characters that are just taking these huge risks that have huge consequences.
Did you take much inspiration from the point horror books? The R.L. Stein and the Dina Carroll and all that sort of thing.
I definitely was a big Christopher Pike fan when I was a kid too. He was one of my faves. Yeah. There was actually one called Funhouse, wasn't there? I just made that up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe that's where I got. That might have been like in the back of my mind.
Back of your mind when you wrote it.
Maybe not consciously, but.
Where can we get this book? Where can people listening get this book? Where do you recommend we start? Do we start at the beginning, or then work the way through, or is there a particular story you think we should start with, or is that being a bit controversial?
Well, let me state where you can order. You can order it through IndieBound, Amazon, or Barnes & Noble. Locally in the greater Denver area, it's in a growing number of bookstores, including the Book Bar, Mutiny Information Cafe, West Side Books, Broadway Book Mall, Tattered Cover, Barnes & Noble, Second and Charles. And I do want to give another little shameless promotion here. There will be a book event at the Tattered Cover Bookstore in Denver on Sunday, January 26th at 2 p.m. 4 stories are going to be read, including Angela's story. These are all based on local dark history, urban legends, and then they're going to have horror experts giving brief talks before each of the stories on the history. And the other writers who will be at the Tattered Cover are P.L. McMillan with their story Left Behind, which is about Riverdale Road in Thornton, Jay Seats' Old Golden Road, about Golden Beltway Road, and Carter Wilson will be reading about the Lafayette Vampire story.
So definitely, if you're in the area, make your way there, and if not, if like me, you're a million miles away, then definitely purchase a copy of this book. I'm really excited. It's got some really talented writers. As I said in the live show, I'm just really surprised that you're all from such a such a sort of close area. I've heard, like I said, I've heard of at least half of the guys that are in there. Big names. I mean, seen Graham Jones. One of my one of my faves.
And also the Indiegogo that you have, is it still collecting? Still up?
It is still collecting, I believe. We're selling T-shirts, of which I'm wearing a T-shirt right now.
Nice.
So I think we're still selling T-shirts. I don't know what else they might, stickers, that kind of thing. But yeah. If you go to the denverhorror.com, that stuff will come up.
denverhorror.com. We'll have a link in the description. It's on Amazon for $3.99 on Kindle.
Wow.
and $12.95 on paperback.
If anyone wants to sort of hear a little bit more about the book, we kind of talked about it in a bit more depth with Gary and Angela in the previous episode. So go back and have a listen to the previous episode. It's a fascinating story of how it came together. It looks a fantastic book, and you really need to add it to your Christmas list.
If you have any comments for us, leave them in the comments section for our guests. And Gary would like to know as well, like if you have any comments.
This Gary.
This Gary right here.
Gary might want to know as well.
Yeah.
But...
See you next time. It's all with Marchese and Blooper. It's all with Marchese and Blooper.
We've got horror at... Wait, one second. That's going to be part of the blooper. Horror... Okay.
That's a wrap.
Right, let's go.
Okay.
We'll insert the theme and stuff then, usually, afterwards.
We've got Angela Sylvaine. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to be edited too. Now, the editors and the authors, one more time. That's going to be edited out too.
I'm just reading the contents here of this book, which I'll hold up here again.
Nice.
It comes up as backwards, but that's all right. At least I see it as backwards. I feel like I'm reading a book for the Academy Awards.
Oh, wow.
And
And the winner is...
We'll have a link in the description, I hope, if I know how to use my tools on my YouTube. And
John Palisano, who's the president of the HWA.
Top guy.
Yeah.
I'm not Cockney, you know.
everybody at once. Everybody at once say, see you next time. See you next
See you
time.
next time.
So,
Yeah. Amazing stuff.
yeah. It was amazing.
Sorry, I keep looking off to the side. It's because I've got my dog, like, literally just here.
Yeah, I keep hearing him like...
And every so often he gets up and he taps around the room and then comes back and sort of sits right next to me, just stares at me like here. So I apologise.
Okay, going to one of those places and the hidden secrets and scary things that are lurking, you know, I don't even know how I said that within one breath, but
Love those books. Grew up on those books.
Yeah, me too.
okay.
The last scene in the novel, or in the short story.
And that was actually Gary's dog barking, and that wasn't Gary
It wasn't me.
that wasn't Gary being censored, because that's how we usually with the curses we put a dog's barking on it instead of a beep. So
We need to put the camera on the dog.
paperback. So Amazon is
I
pretty
might
much
deliver it on Christmas Day.
Christmas.
Perfect.
Santa Gary approves. And if you have any,
Big book, and you really need to add it to your Christmas list. If you've not been very naughty, that is.
yes,
If you're naughty, you don't get anything.
like Iron Man.
You have to be naughty to get the book. That's the key.
Okay, I'm alright.
Or as Gary would say, Gary Buller, naughty.
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 Is that why I don't say naughty that way, do I?
Oh, maybe not.
Maybe I don't.
Oh, you don't.
I'm sure you
actually
can make
don't.
up my accent in your mind. Ridiculous.
See you next time.
No, but it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. I'm going to have to go now.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming on. It's been
Thank
brilliant.
you. Thanks for having
It
us.
was great talking to you for the first time. Yeah, and as you know, Gary's a fantastic name, so people should talk